Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button. And if you haven't joined us already on our Facebook page, check it out today, BWTM Sports Group or BWTM Sports Channel. Check us out on Facebook. It'd be lovely to have you there. Okay, so it has been announced that Gennady Golovkin will be fighting on May the 5th. Not against O'Sullivan or against Andrade or against Charlo or against anybody else in the middleweight division that we wanted to see or would like to see. Instead, we've got Martirosyan. This is the guy. This is the guy that Golovkin's going to be facing on May the 5th. Now, a lot of people would say, why is Golovkin fighting him? You know, well, Golovkin is putting a whole camp preparing to fight Canelo, as we know. Canelo now has been suspended for 6 months. And so he'll be back in September. Or he'll be back. I understand he'll be back fighting September 15th. I could be wrong about that. But he'll be back in September. I do understand that much. I'm waiting to hear back from Abel Sanchez to hear his thoughts on the opponent that's been picked and selected. Now, this guy, Vanis Martirosyan, isn't actually middleweight, from what I understand, and looked at him for BoxRec, and this is the record of him at BoxRec. Martirosyan, well, so I can't even pronounce the guy's name properly, but according to his status, he's inactive, okay? 36 fights, 21 KOs, 3 losses, 1 draw, and the 3 losses he's had, he's never been knocked out. So I think that's down at like middleweight, if I'm correct. He's fought some of the best fighters in the middleweight division, or light middleweight division, sorry. Lara, Jamil Charlo, Andrade. So he's fought some very good guys in the light middleweight division, which he's a light middleweight. So this guy, the last time he fought was 2016, 21st of the 5th, January, February, March, April, May. So it was May, 2 years ago. 2 years ago in a few weeks. I was against Lara. Okay. And he lost that by unanimous points decision. He also fought Lara before, back in 2012, when the fight went to a draw. So, he now fights Golovkin, 2 years on, hasn't fought in over 2 years. I'm not sure how this fight is justifiable, to be honest. I mean, why didn't they fight Spike O'Sullivan instead? I mean, I think Spike O'Sullivan would have been better to fight than him. Clearly, you know, these are the guys Golovkin could have fought. One of the guys people wanted Golovkin to fight was Sergey Deverenchenko. He was born in Ukraine and based in New York. Deverenchenko was a sensational amateur who moved quickly into the pros. In July 2016, he knocked out former titleist Sam Solomon in the 2nd round, followed with a 5th round knockout of previously undefeated Kemal Russell in March, and then on August 25th beat down tough to Toreno Johnson. Deverenchenko stopped Johnson in the 12th round of a tight elimination to earn the mandatory shot against the winner of the Canelo Alvarez-Golovkin fight. Deverenchenko would have been a perfect match for Golovkin. He's training to fight Canelo, would have been in good camp, good shape. Guy's 11-0. Would have been an exciting fight for Golovkin to have. Further raise his profile as the guy that he is, this beast in the middleweight division. And if he's gone across and gone and beat this guy up, would have been a great fight. And, you know, to have. Could have fought Charlo, but we understand the situation there. He's fought Lemieux already. Murat's just finished to fight him. Andrade had been calling out the fight for Golovkin, but it'd been ugly for Golovkin. They really don't want that. So why Golovkin's fighting this guy, I don't know. But yeah, obviously Spike could be asking for too much. I'd be asking for too much if I had to fight Gennady Golovkin. But I can understand. I can understand. I'm well, thank you so much. So this Golovkin fight, again, for me, it's like they really don't like Golovkin because yes, he could have from moving from Golovkin to fight Canelo to dropping down to fight a guy who went for 2 years, not even a legit middleweight. It hasn't fought for 2 years, not a legit middleweight. I just don't understand why this would be the case and why they've taken this fight. I can go for the WBC top 20, yeah? The top 20 of the WBC. Okay, you've got Charlo, number 1 contender for the WBC title. Alvarez, number 2. Jacobs, number 3. Hugo Centeno Jr. is 4. Andrade, 5. Quickly, 6. Lemieux, 7. Camille Cezremente from Poland. I think he's a European champion. 8. 9 is Roberto Garcia. He's the silver champion. 10, Willie Monroe. 11 is Gary Sullivan. 12 is Jack Culkay. 11 is Falcao. 12 is Luis Arias. 13 is Emmanuel Alim. 16 is I give Katoff. 17 is Hassan Nadam. 18 is Tommy Langford. 19 is Falcao, another Falcao. 20 is Toronto Johnson. 21 from France, Karim Achur. Okay. Down at 34 is Liam Cameron, the Commonwealth champion. Jack Armfield, 26. So, yeah, that's basically the WBC ratings. And, well, let me go to light middleweight and see where, let me see where this guy's rated. Let's see where he's rated in the WBC as a light middleweight. Right, well, he's the number 1 contender for Charlo's belt in the light middleweight division. Okay. Venice Matero Soven. Well, Venice is number 1 in the WBC in the light middleweight division. So that's not too bad. I mean, you know, if you say, well, he's a light middleweight number 1 contender, but he hasn't fought for 2 years. So you know how that goes. I'm doing good, champ. I'm doing good. Canelo's a cocksucker. Who would not want to watch the pain and destruction GGG would lay on Spike O'Sullivan? Eubank blitzed him. Let's not even dare to imagine what GGG would do to him. I know you say that, J124, but I'd rather him fight Spike O'Sullivan, who's going to give you value for money. The other thing that Spike O'Sullivan's going to do, he's been in the gym. So you'd rather him fight a guy who's A, not a natural middleweight, B, hasn't fought for 2 years. Really? And C, will make Golovkin look not really great. Ingram, have you seen the Golovkin and Abel Sanchez advert? Absolutely. I saw it got sent to me yesterday. I was laughing my head off about it. I don't know who the think tank is behind that, but I'm definitely going to ask Abel if that was Mexican meat he was eating by any chance. Somebody's got to ask him. So yeah, it is what it is. But to me, I don't think Golovkin's people have done a very good job promoting him for me. I really don't. I really don't. This is a guy who's meant the most, you know, really and truly. Is Golovkin a global superstar? No, he's not. But he's the best fighter in the middleweight division. But Do you know what I mean? He's not like a Nigel Benn or you know, it's just something missing with Golovkin, and I don't quite know what that is. Against fights against Canelo and against Jacobs, he hasn't looked the same knockout puncher, because that's what everyone was selling him on. Those knockouts have dried up. So hopefully, I see the thinking is, well, if he knocks at Martirosyan, if he knocks him out, Martirosyan, if he knocks this guy out, then people say, oh, Golovkin's back, the punching power is back. Usyk injured. Russians tried to buy the fight off and have it in Moscow. Warren was probably pushing for the Langford fight, saying Eubank ducked him. Hello. Eugene, did you want to jump in the room and have a chat? It'd really be good if you could. You can give me some more information. I'd appreciate it. The fight is meant to be in Dubai, isn't it? That's from what I understand. The fight is meant to be in Dubai. Let me just... turn this invite over. So, the other thing is, Canelo being suspended. I understand the reason why he's been suspended the way he has. So I've been told it's because he was eating meat, or they're saying eating meat. He wasn't. He got caught because he was eating something, as opposed to him actually directly pumping it into his system. That's why they've only suspended him for 6 months. But I can guarantee you, if he wasn't a marquee fighter, he would have got suspended for probably double the amount of the time. Because that's just the way it goes, isn't it? Hey, buddy, I've just sent you, Eugene, I've just sent you the link. So if you want to drop it, you can. Saudi Arabia. Okay, Saudi Arabia is. Yeah, I've just sent the link. So if you could jump in the room, I'd really appreciate it. So we can talk further about things. So the next thing as well we talk about is Tyson Fury. Frank Warren has confirmed, and thank you to the gentleman that came in yesterday and said that the fight definitely was not on pay-per-view. I don't know why, because yesterday I said, could somebody clarify this for me, please? I'm sure my words were, can somebody clarify this for me, please, whether this was true about Fury being pay-per-view or not. And I said, well, they have to get the money back somehow or the other for Tyson Fury. And I thought the pay-per-view would have been great, or a great idea if he was fighting decent opponents. But like I said, we don't know who these opponents are that Tyson's fighting. So Warren's confirmed that the pay-per-view event, Tyson will not be the pay-per-view event. The comeback fight will not be a pay-per-view event, but future fights will be pay-per-view down the line. So I guess Warren's getting people prepared for that situation. How are we doing, Joab? Good to see you in the room. I'd love to know what people in the Ukraine are thinking of Bashir's comments and Abel Sanchez's comments, because both comments have been flagged up quite a bit in the Ukrainian press at the moment, and we get lots of feedback about it. So now I've got somebody like Eugene coming into the room. He'll be able to tell me exactly what's going on in Ukraine, how they're taking to all this stuff. That Sanchez said that Usyk leaving Bashir was the worst thing he could have done, and that he's going to make sure that Gassiev makes him pay for that. Bashir said that, I can't remember what Bashir said. Bashir said that he thinks Usyk will beat Gassiev by what's it? But he just basically is by the skin of his chinny chin chin. So he has belief that Usyk will win, but it'd be very, 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 very tight. And he says that Abel Sanchez is a master. He knows boxing inside out. And any weakness that Usyk has shown, that Gassiev and Abel Sanchez will be planning to do something about it.
So,
yes, sir. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Are you Cameron or Cameron today?
No, I'm just out of the shower. I look like a drowned hedgehog.
You just come out of the shower?
Yeah.
So you're not going to oil your body down and then do something like Klitschko style, oil your body down and then talk to me?
Maybe next time. Need to shave my chest.
Something erotic, maybe. Klitschko.
Okay, so go back to Usyk, right?
Yes, please give me the information on what's going on there.
Okay, so apparently he has injured his elbow.
Okay.
And cannot fight on May 11th. That was the fight supposed to happen in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
The other news was that Russians were trying to buy off the fight and have it in Moscow. And they already did it once with Povetkin.
Okay.
And they basically pulled state money just to have a fight in Moscow and buy off Klitschko to travel over.
Right.
But the experience that Klitschko had, and it was really unpleasant. He got booed, and basically he received very unwelcome greetings.
Yep.
And the thing is, he cannot take that chance because the only way Usyk will win is by points. I think no one has any ideas that he will come out of there and just knock out Gassiev. It just would be something out of I don't know, science fiction, I guess.
Yep.
So they were trying to buy it off.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently failed. But the one thing is that really tickles me is the whole injury thing. If you ever traced story of Usyk's injury, the only one that happened before, apparently happened, was before he wanted to fight Golovkin, and they got him like an in-between fight.
Okay.
So apparently he got like a knee injury. And Golovkin was saying that, oh, well, since you're fighting somebody else, I'm going to go on and, get another money fight. So all of a sudden, Usyk forgets about his injury and says, no, let's reschedule it. And he basically pulled out of his scheduled fight against, I think it was some British cruiserweight.
Simmons.
Yeah, Simmons, correct. Yeah, so he basically pulled out on an injury, apparently, and just to have that fight with Golovkin secured, because they were really rushing for that Holyfield record, champion in 10 fight.
Okay. Very quickly, I want to say good evening to the fight guru, my man. How you doing? Long time no see. It's great to see you on the show for the first time. Thank you so much for over the years for supporting the BWTM Sports and Bayloric TV back then. The retweets, really appreciate. Thank you so much. Continue to support. Much shout out to you. And of course, shout out to my man, Cameron Gillan in the room as well. You added me on Skype. I'll talk to you about that later as well. Great stuff. So, Eugene, the next thing I want to talk to you about is the, I know you saw the Ukrainian media that was flying around the comments Abel Sanchez made about Usyk on our channel.
We'll get there. Just hold that for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Basically, Usyk's team was complaining about the date not being finalized, and the way I see it, they could have pulled out this injury story just to not have any uncertainty. So, since it's the thing is pressing, and they were complaining we cannot start the sparring sessions because the date hasn't been confirmed yet. They could have done this silly thing, with my elbow hurt. But hurt an elbow is not like ruptured something. There is no proof or whatever. And another thing is, remember that gentleman, Denis Berinchik? You had him on silver medalist.
Yeah.
He now parted ways with Vatamanyuk, the Usyk's current trainer.
Yes.
So apparently, he decided that he's no good for him.
Wow, that's a shocker.
Yeah, I don't know for whom he will go. There was said that he will announce soon what's the changes in his camp. But yeah, apparently it might have been the schedule issue because Vatamaniuk is now fully committed to Usyk and travels with him abroad and whole thing. But it might be something else, because I'm not that sure that would be an issue. He could have traveled with him to the camps and whatsoever.
Did you say you wanted 5 minutes to look at the articles and then translate them, or what?
Oh no, it was just to hold that thought, so I can finish this whole Usyk's camp thing.
Okay.
Now we can move on to Abel Sanchez.
So there were 2 interviews. One was Abel Sanchez. Abel Sanchez said that he said that Usyk leaving Bashir was the biggest mistake, and that he said that Gassiev is going to make him pay for that. Your thoughts? And that got covered by all the Ukrainian press.
Oh yeah, it has really exploded. I think about two dozen sources over the time quoted that. So basically, I would agree with him because of Usyk's style. He's a boxer, and he traded for more like puncher boxer trainer. So even if Vatamaniuk was that experienced to guide someone like Usyk to unification and then possibly move into heavyweights, it's still something not applicable to him. Having heavy hands, then it would have worked for him. But at this point, he traded a boxing coach, for more that would utilize his ability to box and win rounds and stay out of unnecessary punches. Yesterday I saw his picture after Brady's fight when he had basically 2 giant bruises on his cheekbones because he was taking so much punishment in that Brady's fight, and that is just not it's not a smart strategic move for him, because if he wants to stay in the game for long, he should avoid taking that much punishment and damage. But he's just going for more performance-oriented fights, something really exciting with a knockout or whatever, trading in, getting into unnecessary dangerous situations.
So what's the reaction been to the interview with Abel Sanchez and what he said, and saying that Gassiev is going to hurt him for that?
Well, if you remember back in the day, I reminded you that there are 2 camps who see Bashir issue as a big mistake, and the other one who see it as, well, it's just a trainer, whatever. It's after all, Usyk has 300 amateur fights and whatsoever. He's gonna figure it out. So basically, one camp is saying, yeah, it's the red flags are popping out all over the place. The others are saying, well, it's just the sacrifices he has to go to, to get attention in the West and start earning for his living, because cruiserweights are not that attractive in financial aspect. For some reason, it's kind of like a forgotten division.
The Golovkin thing, he's you were there when Abel Sanchez was berating and basically having a dig at all the other fighters and why they shouldn't fight Golovkin. Now they've pulled up this guy who's been who on BoxRec is considered inactive.
Who was that?
Martirosyan.
Wait, I need to check that.
He fought Lara twice. He got a draw against Lara, and then Lara beat him in unanimous points decision. He's never been stopped. He's only been beaten on points. Hasn't fought for 2 years.
Martirosyan?
That's the guy. I can't pronounce the name properly, but yeah, that's the same guy.
Okay, so I think it's they just didn't want to take a risk, because it's 3 weeks about 3 weeks till the fight. And if they're taking someone like Derevyanchenko, his team was actually pressing for it. They actually wrote a letter to IBF saying that if he doesn't defend his title, let me have it with Faken and fight Andrade for it, which would be another very good fight. But,
okay, you seen this guy fight? Is he a mover?
Well, kind of a mover because he's constantly getting on the inside. You know, he's one of wait a second. Who are we talking about? The Derevyanchenko or
The other guy, the guy that Golovkin's fighting now.
Oh no. Martirosyan. Nah.
Is he flat-footed or is he going to move around the ring?
I say that he's probably gonna move.
Is he naturally a mover though?
Nah, he isn't.
Martirosyan, that's it. I said it now.
Martirosyan.
There we go. You pronounce it better than I do. I mean, so but he wouldn't fight Spike O'Sullivan because Spike O'Sullivan priced himself out. I understand that. So you're telling me there was nobody in the middleweight division that wanted to fight Golovkin?
Oh, I'm not saying there was nobody who wanted to fight him. It's just this was the guy the Golovkin team was comfortable taking on short notice. You know, they were preparing for one guy. Now they have 3 weeks, and they cannot afford to lose him at any possibility because the Canelo fight is not off the table yet. They're
September. Yeah. Canelo's back in September.
Yeah. So basically, this one is just a stay busy fight. I see it only that, so he doesn't accumulate ring rust or whatever.
But you see, the thing is, Van has fought. I know he's fought some really good guys. People have mentioned he's fought the good guys. That's not my concern. My concern is he was considered inactive for 2 years on BoxRec. But a man's considered inactive is as good as done. Inactive 2 years. You know, and then you're going to fight Golovkin.
Well, I'm just wondering how is he in rankings then?
Well, he's #1 contender, but for the WBC title.
That's a poor look for WBC title.
He's #1 contender. You know, I'm not knocking the fact that he had close fights, but he had those close fights when he was fighting regular. I can only assume. I mean, you can't. You know, a guy's not fought for 2 years. He's not getting younger. So that's really, for me, that's a concern. Your timing's off. Your footwork's off. You know what I mean? You have to get yourself back in the ring. I mean, what has he been doing all this time?
So I see him being in there for a slaughter. It's really obvious what's going to happen there because, well, he has been inactive for 2 years and Golovkin has been training for Canelo all this time. So,
right. You know. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Larry Prince says he's been called out Charlo in February. He's been training since January for a comeback.
Yeah, but training is not fighting. You see.
Exactly. I can't. It's fights like these where people get seriously hurt and people justify it. Do you know what I mean? This is where people get hurt. They take a name of a guy that hasn't fought for almost 2 years and said, yeah, well, he looked good in those fights. That's when he was fighting regularly. Now he's fighting a guy who's preparing to fight Canelo for a second time. Do you know what I mean? And it's not like Golovkin's a light puncher. This guy's a spiteful puncher. But Van's speed may because he's coming up from middleweight to middleweight. May help him there. But there's some things you can train all you want, but there's things like, you know, being in the ring and getting yourself used to being in the ring again, used to getting hit again. Sparring's one thing, but when he gets hit by Canelo, by Golovkin, it's another thing altogether.
I constantly just remind myself about B-Hop when the layoff is the thing, because you know, B-Hop was able to survive 12 rounds against Kovalev, you know, and then he fights somebody who's pretty unskilled. He's just a hard puncher, you know.
There you go.
And he got punched out of the ring. And it's a really experienced and, you know, good fighter in B-Hop. You know, he wasn't able to utilize all his abilities just because he hasn't been fighting for 2 years.
Hopkins' famous statement was it, you are ordinary or you were average? What did he say? He called Smith ordinary. I think he called himself special.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember that one. I just remember that his phrase. What was it? I will never lose to a white guy that bites him in the ass so hard. It's just.
I mean, I think me and my mates laugh about it all the time. Yeah, we always laugh about it. Say, well, you know, imagine him. You know, he's a little older and he's talking to his great grandkids and his grandkids, and they say to him, "Well, Bernard or Grandpa, tell us about your boxing career." And you say, "Yeah, I had a good boxing career." He says, "Okay, you know what? I said I would never lose to a white guy." So what about those guys that beat you, Kawasaki and Smith? What about those guys? And that Kovalev, he was white as well. What's his excuse?
Well, not those whites.
No, they weren't white. Don't get it twisted. They weren't white. They were white. They just weren't white.
Had a little bit of farmer tan on them. No, it's just, you know, don't the phrase "don't speed up because it comes back down." It happened. It happened 3 times. Can it go better than this?
Dear me. Greetings from Germany, says live print. I've just heard about Canelo. What a bottle job. The authorities. What a joke. Apologies. Just tuned in. But on the plus side, Mexican beef will come with this, will improve your health. Warning. Good to see you in the room. Kawasaki and Kovalev aren't white. But they're certainly not black.
No, actually, if we take Furtidze and his view on the world, then yeah, they're not white.
Really enjoy it though. All right, so let's get back to things. So this opponent of Golovkin, people say it's the, you know, the other thing is it's the promotion of Golovkin for me has always been a problem. Like when you look back at his career, right? Because he hasn't got much fighting to do much of his career. I don't think he's going to run that much longer. When you look back at his career, what have been his blockbuster fights?
If you ask Abel Sanchez, then you regret asking Abel Sanchez.
Yeah, I remember the great line he gave me. He said to me, "Oh yeah, they were all dangerous before they fought. They fought Golovkin. Even what was his name? Dominic Wade. He was dangerous, wasn't he?"
Yeah, Willie Monroe was the toughest challenge or something like that.
I couldn't believe he said that to me. I couldn't believe he said it to me, but you know, some people will believe that. But when you look back at Golovkin's career, and this is not hating now, when you look at him and you put him with the elite middleweights, where do you put him? I mean, his big pay-per-view fight was against Brook, as a guy that was coming from 2 weight divisions, welterweight up to middleweight. The next fight was against Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacobs, everyone said was going to get blasted out of there. And Dmitry Pigorok knocked him out. But people said, well, you know what, Pigorok wasn't as good as Golovkin. Golovkin gets 12 rounds to fight him, and Golovkin doesn't come close to knocking him out. People say, well, that's because Jacobs was too big on the night and all the rest of it. Well, that's excuses. Jacobs is a damn good boxer. And then we have the Canelo fight. Again, a guy. In fact, the last three fights that Golovkin's been involved in, the last 3 fights he's been involved in have been guys who move. So he hasn't looked the devastating puncher in those last 3 fights. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, the whole thing with the Golovkin, I see, like, imagine 10 years from now, right? Everyone looks back and he will be like a middleweight Tyson. They will be saying, "Oh, he was a killer, and he was blasting every other champion out." And these things will get forgotten because he has a solid record,
He has a
and
solid
people.
record. He has a good record, but would I be harsh in saying this is a money grab? Listen, I'm not blaming Golovkin for his team for doing it. Right? It's a Mexican day, Cinco de Mayo, and he's fighting on it, and the Mexicans accept him as one of their own. You know what I
Is he
mean?
still fighting in Las Vegas though?
I think it's still there. I could be wrong.
Stop Center Carson. No, they moved it to Carson.
Okay, where's that then?
Let me check real quick. Jesus Christ. USA. It's California.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so he's fighting basically in LA.
Well, he's fighting LA still, yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, this is actually weird because I would expect him to go back to New York. That's his basically home state. It's where his fan base at. And
But California, you can see the sense of it though. You can understand the sense of why they're having the fight there.
yeah, definitely see the reason for it. Just see, if that was like a promotional fight, that would make more sense. But this fight is just a stay busy one. He's not gonna win anyone's heart over it. So
no, he expected to go out there and destroy his opponent. He expected to do that.
yeah. And the worst thing that can happen is if he doesn't destroy him, it is just another.
It's another
long round fight.
It's another, and I'd like to see what Golovkin looks like after that Canelo fight.
I don't think he looks that bad. Like many people were saying that the whole thing with the getting the second fight rematch with Canelo was taking so long because they waited for him to age even more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that being the case.
Okay.
I just think that those, with the whole drug situation, mm-hmm. You're gonna ask yourself whether they needed to recycle another, chemistry lesson for him.
Hold on a second, brother Mike. Just to let you know, I've just sent a link to you on Twitter. So if you want to jump in, please feel free. Go ahead, Eugene.
Yeah, so basically, people were saying that Canelo team waited for Golovkin to get older, but now with the whole drug situation in place and him testing way bigger doses than was supposed to be with tainted meat, there are rumors or suggestions that they actually just needed to recycle the PET cycle, so whatever he used would be out of his system, and then they could safely proceed to getting into the fight.
Well, September's it's a 6-month suspension, so he's back in September. So that means possibly Golovkin could be around in September to fight.
Well, I'm pretty sure he will be around in September to fight. I don't see Golovkin just pulling out of that fight and saying, "Well, to hell with Canelo, I'm moving to 168 or whatsoever." It's just not gonna happen. Their rhetoric was that I'm gonna fight him even if he's on juice, if the commission allows this fight to happen. So that's their rhetoric, and apparently he's at the stage of his career where stacking the bank account is more important than basically moving on.
Do you think we'll see Golovkin move up to super middleweight, or do you think it'll just be a situation where he stays at middleweight?
It depends on how well he performs against Canelo the second time. if it's another like fight that digs really deep into him and chips out, I think we might see, if he wins Canelo, we might see unification with Billy Joe Saunders, and that will be it.
Question 1, how much did that Canelo fight take out of Golovkin? Question 2 is, if the Golovkin's in decline, what part of how much in decline is he? And 3, do you think he's struggling at the weight?
Well, first, the thing is, we don't know how much it took out because we haven't seen him ever since, right?
Exactly.
The whole situation with fighting or not fighting Canelo doesn't prove anything, because if it took a lot out of him and he still wants to fight because, well, this is the biggest money fight he can get while being, getting washed up. If it didn't take, then basically the same situation, they would push for the fight because it wasn't that big of a deal for them, and it's still money on the table.
But I see a fight like Spike O'Sullivan. I know they said Spike was asking for a lot of money, but I think Spike would have been a better fight. Would it not have been?
Yeah, but he's not at the stage of his career when he needs more promotion.
You don't think so?
No, Triple G already has the brand of, Triple G, the guy who goes in and moves and whatever. It's us, the fans, who are more deep into the sport of boxing, who understand that there are better fights to have. But for more casual fans who buy his pay-per-views no matter what, no, it's not a smart move for them.
Okay, Chris Dyer says, disappointing to hear a Golovkin fight, but it's a tune-up fight for Canelo in September to keep G busy. Understand it. Yep, I totally understand that. Michael Wilson says, I got the official press release. Fight happening at the StubHub in Carson, California. Carson is about 30 to 35 miles outside LA. So, what do you think?
On what?
Well, the fight's 30 to 35 miles outside of LA.
Well, how far is it away from Big Bear?
It's a good question.
Maybe it's next door and they're like, okay, you know what?
Okay, do you think Golovkin's a big draw? Is he a big ticket seller?
Depends where. Okay, if in New York, I would say yes. In LA, I'm not so sure. The last time.
But wait, okay. If you're saying that the brand of Golovkin is established, then he should be a big ticket seller, yes or no?
Well, not really, because in the US it's really regional. Wilder moved to New York, I think, because basically he's not getting recognition around the country.
Right.
Even though whatever he does, he gets those wins, and people are just not paying attention to him.
Right.
So you can win the local community, and you'll be a draw there.
Yeah.
Just you will technically get tied to that community because no one else will come to your fights.
So would you consider Golovkin a global superstar?
Global superstar? No, not
Would
global.
you consider Canelo a global superstar?
No, not really. He's just having a lot of backing from Mexicans. That's what it is.
Okay. So who would you consider a global superstar of boxing today, apart from Floyd Mayweather?
Okay. Global.
Who?
That's a good question.
Who would you consider a global superstar today?
Now you puzzled me.
That's my point. And then where in the pecking order do you put Golovkin in terms of promotion and stardom? GGG, the brand, you're okay. But he's not the devastating puncher that everyone talks about. If you go back and you look at guys like Nigel Benn or even, what's his name? Julian Jackson, Gerald McLennan. These guys were knocking you out and you weren't getting up. No referee stopping. You were getting knocked out.
Yeah. Well, See, it's just the fact that he's what, 35?
Yep.
And if he's going for more promotional fights and taking the risk with the... Oh no, he's already 36. So at this point, they are not going to take big risks.
Okay.
And you know, the whole thing is stockpiling against him. So this
is actually south of LA. Big Bear is over 2 hours from LA in the mountains. Okay, thanks for that, Mike. Ryan says Canelo should be just hung out to dry by the press, but I guess they don't. Come September, they will be asking Canelo, "What's your favorite color?"
Yeah, well, this is the the whole favoritism issue, because even Marisa Suleiman was coming out and saying that we don't believe that Canelo is guilty or whatever. This is the first time he popped. Yeah, and he popped solid. The whole two different tests, and two samples, with one being really high, which means it's not meat, and the other one being really low, and they decided to disclose only the one that was low. It's not a good look. However you spin it, if you have any sort of position on those PEDs, then you will see that this is not accidental.
Okay. Michael Wilson says that global superstar, Joshua's a global superstar outside of the US. Well, if you don't crack the US, then you can't be a global superstar.
I'm not sure if Joshua would draw as much in the US.
That's a good question. I don't know if he would. Would he transfer over?
I mean, he could.
Okay.
He could if he would beat some American, names. But at the same time, those American names should be recognized as well.
What about Naz, Prince Naseem Hamed? Would you say he was a global superstar?
Naz?
Prince Naseem Hamed. He fought in the UK, fought in the US.
I don't know. See, winning American public is way more difficult, because if you remember, Klitschko was starting to in America. For early 2000s, they were fighting a lot in America on HBO and whatever, and they didn't have much traction.
Okay, so what defines a global superstar then? I mean, then Mayweather must be the only global superstar. But hold on, Mayweather never fought in the UK. I think Mike Tyson was a global superstar.
Okay, yeah.
He'd be a global superstar. You never fought in the UK though, did Tyson?
No, I think he had felony on his record, and he could never leave the US.
No, he did come to the UK. He came to the UK later in his career, didn't he? Oh yeah, he did fight in the UK. Tell a lie. Of course he fought in the UK. Fought Julius Francis.
That's weird, because I think I looked at it.
Yeah, he fought Julius Francis 2 rounds. Tyson, Holyfield, Lewis, global, question mark.
Lewis.
Yeah, there you go. So Tyson would be global. Correct here. He fought Japan. He got knocked out by Buster Douglas, unfortunately. He fought in the US, as we know Tyson did, and he came and fought in the UK. So I think Tyson was a global superstar. Everyone knew who Mike Tyson was. It was Mike Tyson. Everyone knows who Mike Tyson was.
Well, it's not about knowing, it's about drawing as well,
Yeah, but
everybody in boxing community is talking about Lomachenko, but let him, fill in a decent side career.
Lomachenko, global arena. He's far from a global superstar, Lomachenko. People are just getting to know who he is. He's no global superstar.
What I'm saying is, a lot of people talk about him, but let him fill in a decently sized arena, and this is going to be a problem, because
that's it. By your measures, the only global fighters are Mayweather and McGregor. No, I've mentioned Tyson being a global star. Joshua's well on his way to becoming a global star.
Yeah, but he has never left
the UK
so far. So.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That crossover fight. Vincent Benedict, yo, I hope you're well. So going back to the whole thing, what I talked about this global superstar thing. Back to Golovkin, when we look at him in history, will he be? Okay, is Golovkin a superstar first?
No, I wouldn't say.
That's it. This is what I'm saying. So I go back to the way his career has been managed or promoted. It's not the greatest. Is GGG a superstar? Nope. That's my point. No, he isn't. He isn't. Is he? It's something. His social media is a good thing, but sometimes his social media is a complete fart because you get, honestly, how big is the American market? Question.
Well, American market is being split really severely by other sports like NFL, NHL.
Yeah, but I tell you what the problem is here. GG is a superstar to me. Yeah, in the fans' perception, you know him. Yeah, of course he's a star and an idol. I understand that. But when the figures and the money starts coming in, you know, that's what makes, when you talk about Floyd Mayweather and you talk about the others, I mean, he really is a true well, he must be truly a global superstar.
Well, it's kind of the trolling video that Ernst put out walking around. I think it was in New York.
Yeah.
He was like, do you know who Deontay Wilder is?
Yeah.
Well, basically, global superstars, you say the name and people run towards it, you know, because the guy's there.
Again, the other reason why Mike Tyson was a global superstar, because it was also politically charged because of did he or didn't he rape the girl, Denise Washington, that was Desiree Washington. That was another big thing as well. So Tyson was known for his inside the ring antics and knocking guys out, and you know, but the same thing was known for being an animal inside the ring. Outside the ring, people kind of threw mud at him, and you know, he do it, didn't he do it? Don King. So does a global superstar mean that you have to, like, for example, one of the things I think that's missing, if you look at like American sports, you'll see guys like, I noticed that some guys will go and cross over into different sports, even if they're doing interviews, they cross over to other sports, you know. So Manny Pacquiao, global superstar.
Yeah, I would say so.
Never fought in the UK.
Oh.
No, there's never fought in the UK.
Well, I mean, it's not about whether you fought in the UK or not. It's just,
yeah, I think you got to cross over. I think you should be able to do both things. I think you should fight in the UK and the US maybe as a criteria. Maybe. But then you could say, well, Floyd only fought in America.
Yeah, but see, it's about recognition of the name, you know, because I think a lot of people know Manny Pacquiao.
Oh, by the way, Cameron, I sent you a link. I forgot to tell you. I sent a link about 5 minutes ago to you. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's more about the recognition of the name rather than, you know, because if we limit ourselves to the, you know, draw within, you know, any country or most of the countries, you know, where the whole boxing traction is going on, then okay, or Mayweather, right? You say he never fought in the UK? Those 50 fights?
No, he didn't fight in the UK.
Okay, so, but you can't say he's not a global superstar.
So that you can't use a criteria of not fighting in the UK. Maybe fighting UK fighters could be. You don't have to fight in the UK to be a global superstar, but you fight guys from the UK. So you Mayweather fought what's his name, Hatton, didn't he, from the UK? And Hatton was arguably Britain's best at the time.
Well, I really don't want to use this example, but Golovkin fought Kell Brook. And it's like... But basically, the only way he would draw anyone in the UK to watch his fight is to fight someone who is recognized in the UK.
Okay, my screen is unfrozen now. Sorry, Eugene, we've got Cameron in the room. Cameron, how are we doing?
What's going on, brother? How are you?
Good, long time no speak.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but it's good to be back on the show for sure.
Fantastic. For people who don't know who you are, Cameron, let me just turn your volume up so people can hear you as well. Introduce yourself to the people on the show. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Cameron Gillan. I've been doing boxing work for a few years now. Some people who listen to Baylor might know me from a few years ago already, but I've done work, I've done writing and interviews and things like that over the years, so I've just been sticking at that.
So your thoughts on the global discussion we're having at the moment? I
agree with both points. I feel like, say if you Mayweather or Pacquiao fought Amir Khan or someone like that, the fight would be a big deal. It would be on pay-per-view. So I feel like they're kind of transitioned. They've got a big global following and, the big UK following. So I feel like in that sense, they may not have fought in the UK, but they're big names in the UK. All the, casuals and hardcores know them. So I feel like in that sense, they are kind of global superstars, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so you think pay-per-view would be the qualification for a guy to be considered, well, if it has to be global, then isn't there a certain amount of figures that need to be made to make that person a global superstar? Like Bellew versus Hay. Now, Bellew could be known, I know it sounds bad, right? But Bellew could be known because he's been seen globally because of his outside the ring activities in that Rocky movie. Tony Bellew, that makes his stock go higher. And of course, David Hay is David Hay. So what are your thoughts, both of you guys, on whether that would qualify somebody for being better known because they've been in a movie and a well-known movie to that?
Well, didn't work for Andrew Ward, did it?
Yeah, well, okay, it didn't work for Andre Ward. Cameron?
Do you know what? That's a very good example about Andre Ward. But even with Tony Bellew, I mean, if he steps out of, if he steps into the US, nobody's going to know who Tony Bellew is. Not in my opinion, anyway. Not very much. I mean, I think he might make Deontay Wilder look like a pay-per-view star over there because the problem is with Bellew, he's outside of the Creed movie. He's not fought a name that kind of the US people are kind of get excited about other than Hay. Before that, nobody. The Bellew Cleverly rematch wasn't televised in the US, thankfully. The Macaboo one, was that on Showtime? I'm not too sure, probably not. But Bellew's not fought anybody that people around the world outside the UK can get excited about. I mean, the Hay rematch is what it is. Hay was a big name, but even now, you can speak to a lot of US fans, and they don't really know who Bellew is. They couldn't name, outside of Hay, they could not name an opponent that Bellew's fought.
Adonis Stevenson, which a lot of people think is that fight.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, well, yeah, he fought Adonis Stevenson. I mean, he did a bit of a dance in that fight, didn't he? So for me, Stevenson, the big fight, it was a big fight over there. But that's all they know. I mean, that's all they know, really. I mean, him getting lit up by Adonis Stevenson and beating David Hay, who was crippled.
Yeah, and so you don't think the Rocky thing would have helped his global intentions, though?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it definitely helps. It doesn't harm it, does it? In any sense, it gets more people looking at him. But I mean, Bellew seems to think he's. I do like Bellew, but he seems to think he's this big star now after the Hay win, and he seems to think that certain fighters aren't willing or worthy, so to speak, of fighting him. I feel like, in that sense, no, I don't think he's a bigger star as he thinks he is. would he, would his fights be pay-per-view if he wasn't fighting David Haye? No. I mean, so for me, Bellew's not a big star. I mean, like you said, the Creed stuff definitely helped, but no, Bellew's not a global superstar, nowhere near it.
So then, going back to the first point where I made about this thing about global superstar and Golovkin, why is he not a global superstar? You know, the bad one, considered by some experts the pound for pound best fighter in the world. I'm not one of those people that believe that. Considered the most destructive puncher in the world. I certainly don't believe that, because he's gonna have to go. He'll have to have a word with Deontay Wilder. So I'm not quite sure where the whole thing with Golovkin is in terms of where he stands in the global superstar market.
I want to say one thing about the Golovkin power thing. Golovkin's nowhere near the biggest puncher in boxing for me, simply because the level he's been knocking out. I mean, you saw when he fought Jacobs and Canelo, he wasn't close to. I mean, he knocked Jacobs down, but he wasn't close to stopping either of them guys. I mean, Golovkin stopping, Murray, Lemieux, and all those kind of guys. It's no different to Kovalev stopping the guys that he's recently fought. It's just kind of, they're not the elite guys in the division. So for somebody to say, Golovkin's the biggest puncher in the sport, no doubt he's a big puncher, but who's he actually knocked out clean? Who you can say, yeah, that's an elite level opponent. They're all good opponents, but I mean, it's not his fault he's in a weak division. But at the end of the day, there's other fighters in the sport who have been knocking out opponents that are at elite level. So realistically, I think you should put them ahead of Golovkin.
Absolutely. Michael makes a great point about Manny Pacquiao being a global superstar. I guess you would have to say he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to say, I've never spoken to you before, Eugene. So it's nice to meet you. I've been listening to the show for a while, and I've enjoyed your insights. So it's good to finally speak to you.
Nice to meet you, Dan.
Oh, Eugene, this is Cameron. Cameron, this is Eugene. That's the introduction after the fact.
Yeah, nice.
But I did introduce you to. I did.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I did. Yeah.
The point that I wanted to say is, I think Cameron said about either Pacquiao or Mayweather fighting like someone like Amir Khan or whatsoever in the UK, and that would be a pay-per-view event. Well, Amir Khan is doing pretty well in the UK by himself, right? So people already know Amir Khan.
Okay. Has Amir?
Wait, I'm not finished.
Okay, go on.
If you would use a name that is already recognized in the UK as a proof, like that this is a global superstar, because you can get that fight, in the UK. By that standard, Oleksandr Povetkin is a global superstar because he's recognized in Germany, where he defeated Marco Hulk. Well, kind of defeated. That was. He's recognized in Russia, and now he came over to Britain, and they might finalize that fight with Joshua. He has been around the places, and he has been in the major events.
I mean, there was 80,000 people at the Joshua Parker fight. Obviously, Povetkin fought on that undercard. But I mean, I don't think there's many people who turned out to that fight to watch Povetkin. Maybe, I mean, there's a lot of people I know, and it's disrespectful, but there's a lot of people I know that went to the fight because they thought, David Price was going to get knocked out, and they wanted to turn up for that, as sad as that is. But I don't think anybody thought, well, I'm going to go to that fight because Povetkin's fighting on the undercard. So for me, I think it's a really subjective argument, this is, to be fair, in terms of who's a global superstar and who's not. I think there's no right or wrong answer, especially kind of what we mentioned so far.
Yeah. So
my point is, if you need a name to get that fight, big fight in the country, like you need to fight a British guy to have a big draw, then it's not really a global superstar. Because if you are someone like Manny Pacquiao and you grab someone from the US and bring the fight into the UK for whatever reason, and you have a big draw to it, people are coming and buying tickets, then that would mean that you're a global superstar.
Okay, let me throw this out to you. I think Amir Khan's brand is more well-known than Gennady Golovkin's brand. Anybody want to take me up on that?
I'll let Eugene go first.
Oh boy, poor Golovkin. The thing is, yeah, he is.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. Either fighting like both in the UK and the US, or just being in against recognized opponents. But it just
I mean, Khan's fought the more recognisable names, hasn't he? Yeah, I think more people know him in the US than maybe Golovkin at this point. I'm not too sure. I think maybe Khan is more recognisable than Golovkin at this point, especially in the US. So, yeah.
There you go. So, if you're talking about an established brand, this is a guy who's unbeaten, a deadly puncher, a pound for pound, considered one of the best, if not the best pound for pound fighter in the world. But his brand is not as well known as Amir Khan, AK. Again, we have to say that Amir Khan's extra curriculum activities outside of boxing may have played a part to it. The Skype, what he was doing on Skype, also issues with his wife and Anthony Joshua, that went global. So for whatever reason. So again, Golovkin's, when you look at Golovkin, for all he's done and all he is, his brand isn't that strong. If you're letting a guy like Amir Khan come along and basically stand,
I would say it's strong, but not global. He has a really solid base of people who are coming to his fights, but it's limited. He's really tied to whatever. I guess New York or here, even fighting in Las Vegas, he needed Canelo for that. Otherwise, they would have keep the venue.
Okay, how many pay-per-view fights has Golovkin been involved in?
2. No, sorry, 3. He's fought Lemieux, Brook, and Canelo.
Was Lemieux pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
They had to do it pay-per-view to pay, I think they had to do it to pay the actual purses, because they, HBO wouldn't put up the money for the actual fight.
Oh, shit.
Hey, it doesn't look that well for him if you think of it.
It actually did plummet. The pay-per-view buys did plummet. I think Eubank Jr. against Quinlan did bigger numbers.
Terrible. So when we talk about Brand Golovkin, and this is not hating, this is one of the guys one of the biggest, who supposedly pound for pound, one of the best in the top 3, and this devastating puncher and GGG brand. Yet, that's not good, really, is it?
Well, you know what could improve it?
What?
Provided that the unification will happen with Billy Joe Saunders. If he would fight in Britain and then would fight,
okay, yeah. So he fights Billy. How many pay-per-view events has Billy Joe Saunders been involved in?
It's not about that. It's the names he needs to accumulate.
Of course, but again, he beats Billy Joe Saunders and
then moves to 168.
Yeah, that's what he has to do.
Can I just ask? Apparently, the IBF came out and said that if Golovkin fights Varnas, he'll lose the IBF title.
I heard that as well.
So this fight with the fight with Saunders. I mean, Golovkin's been about all the belts. I mean, I understand why Golovkin's taking this fight, because he's been in training camp and he has to pay. Everybody has to get paid here. So it's more important to get money than actually the titles. But what is this? I assume that Golovkin's kind of thinking, all the undisputed titles, the undisputed championship, is kind of not his goal now. If he's at the title goal, maybe he'll try and reclaim it. But I mean, the Saunders fight was all about all the belts, wasn't it? I mean, you can still fight Saunders. It's a great fight, but what about his undisputed title thing?
Okay, he becomes undisputed champion. Who cares? His brand isn't that great. I mean, it's proven. If he becomes undisputed champion, you're like, okay, fine, fair enough. And
yeah, that's a good point.
And if Joshua becomes undisputed champion, do you see what happens there? Or if Joshua becomes undisputed champion, you see what happens there. I'm not sure about if Wilder becomes undisputed champion, but if Joshua becomes undisputed champion, you could see.
Yeah, but it feeds the rhetoric.
What's that?
It feeds the rhetoric because Wilder is not being looked at anything specific. He's just, he's going wild and he punches hard. With Joshua, there's a lot of theatric performance, that he takes this giant risk fighting Klitschko, and then he wins, and then he goes on to unify, and there's a rhetoric behind the whole thing.
What it is, the difference between the two men is one is very well marketed and one is not marketed very well. That's why I see the difference. One is marketed and promoted very well, and every opportunity there is to get involved with the corporate sponsors, he's there. He's on billboards all over the place. He's everywhere you look, Joshua's there. I would not be surprised soon if he isn't taken up by some national bank, whether it be Lloyd's or TSB. That's the next thing that's coming. If he's not even selling Durex, I would be surprised if he starts selling Durex soon, right? Because he can do it.
It'll be like it'll be on the advert saying "Stay humble, bank with Nationwide."
Well, we laugh, but that is a possibility, especially if he comes undisputed champion. So, but if Golovkin becomes undisputed champion, who cares?
Okay, we have another fight that supposedly will give us a undisputed champion in cruiserweight. How much recognition will those guys get? Either one, Gassiev or Usyk.
Say even worse.
So yeah, whatever.
Even worse. Okay, outside of Ukraine, and where Gassiev is from. Who knows?
He's from Russia, but I think he's more even recognized in Northern Caucasus than anywhere else. Like Russia is a big place, and Lebedev is a bigger name there.
Now in Ukraine, I understand that Usyk seemed like a rock star.
Oh man, his face is everywhere. It's getting kind of ridiculous. Like he was promoting cell phone companies. He was promoting betting companies. The whole bookers and whatever.
So could they? So could Usyk? It may be a good question for you, Eugene. So say if they put Usyk against Gassiev on pay-per-view in Ukraine, would that sell well?
No.
Even though they're promoting Usyk's face all over the place.
First of all, there is no system of pay-per-view in Ukraine at all. So the way they get money pulled for Ukrainian fighters is there's a lot of sponsorship. It's just littered with sponsorship. So that way he can, get the money he needs. But pay-per-views is just, it's something really new to the public. It would be a flop.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Okay, let's give you examples of it. I'm going to use I'll give you a good example of somebody. Now, I'm not going to use the sport of boxing, but I'll use the sport of football just for a second. And I'll say David Beckham, global superstar. Not the most talented footballer in the world, but is a global superstar. Was it based on his talent or was it based on his marketing?
On shampoo commercials.
Shampoo commercials.
It was actually Cologne, David Beckham Cologne.
Yeah, well, you got Cologne. I mean, this is what's that. So, was it marketing or was he just a very good player?
Well, I feel like his talent initially got him to that point where he can market himself to then get to the point he is now. Effectively, I think his marketing was actually, it was down to his marketing, it's down to his looks and things like that. His marketability worth.
So there you go. So then, all right. So then what do you do in this case for Golovkin for him to become a global superstar? Because I think he could fight Charlo, he could fight Andrade, he could beat all those guys. He could probably move up to super middleweight. I still don't think he becomes a global superstar.
I don't think if he beat, say if he beat Charlo Andrade, I literally don't think it makes any difference to his marketability.
That's my point. That's my point. I don't think he becomes undisputed champion, right? He beats those guys. He moves up to 168. He beats the winner of the Super 8, the Super 6 or Super 8 tournament. He's just remembered as a very good fighter who's tough and had a good chin and could punch.
He just gets more respect from the boxing fans. That's it.
That's it. Roy Jones Jr., global superstar.
Well, he did get some fights in Russia.
Oh,
he became a Russian citizen, didn't he? He was there with Putin and everything. He got knocked out for it, but
in his prime Roy Jones Jr.
I mean, yeah, he was sponsored by Air Jordan, wasn't he? He was on. I think he was on. Certain. I'm not sure if he was on commercials in the US or not, but I mean, he was a big. I mean, he was on pay-per-view, but he wasn't selling big pay-per-view numbers. Partially because he wasn't fighting anybody that people cared about, but I think he was a big name. I mean, I'm not too sure what his actual marketability was in the US at the time, but I know he was sponsored by Air Jordan. I know that a lot of people, followed me. He was charismatic and things like that. So I mean, did he try and? I mean, how big? I mean, Ingram, you were probably more watching it back then than I was. I mean, how big was Roy Jones in the UK during his prime?
Oh, Roy Jones was big. He was big news because you had Roy Jones, you had Michael Nunn, you had James Toney, you had Mike McCallum, and I remember specifically Ben wanted to go and fight Roy Jones, and nobody gave Ben a chance against Roy Jones. Dazzling hand speed, great punch power. Just Roy Jones was he was a superstar. Superstar in that sense. I don't know if it's global in the sense that by buys, it just might just be by entertainment value, visual. I don't know. Maybe there should be a difference between a superstar and a global superstar. Maybe we should put into two categories.
I mean, I think we can clarify that nobody in the sport of boxing was a bigger international superstar than Cole Froch.
Oh, shit. I knew his name was going to come up eventually. Oh, shit. Well, Froch was never considered the number one at his division at any time. Even when Andre won boxing, he still wasn't considered number one. And he was never undisputed champion. Wasn't the best in his weight category. He was always number two. So, something that Joe Kazaki can claim that he was. Number one in his division. Unified champion. Unbeaten. But he wasn't a global superstar.
I think, like I said, this global superstar topic is so subjective that I just think it's the end of the road talking about it.
Yeah, I guess so. So we've got Joshua, who's there as a heavyweight. We have Canelo. And then who else do you put up there?
Really them two. I mean, Amir Khan's up there.
Yep.
That's probably it. I mean, then you got Golovkin maybe close down, but
where does Errol Spence fit into all this? Based on his sales.
Well, he's done big viewers, hasn't he? In his fights, I feel like he's got potential to be, to really kind of be a global star. I mean, he's kind of got the look. I mean, he's being promoted. He's kind of, the PBC's kind of diamond, so to speak. I mean, even though Keith Thurman's got all the titles, it's Spence that's getting all the attention. So I think Spence will be up there.
De La Hoya, of course, would have been Michael says a great point here. That Oscar De La Hoya may have been more of a superstar in the 90s than Roy Jones Jr. De La Hoya certainly made more money than Jones. Absolutely.
Actually, the other guy there are people who are doing everything right in boxing and still not getting any traction. I think Crawford, he just barely left Omaha so far because he couldn't. And, Terence Crawford, he's going pretty solid comparing to what Golovkin has done so far. Now he moved from, I think he started at 130, unified 140. Now he moves to 147, and definitely the fight with Errol Spence will happen at some point.
He beats Horn. Okay, he picks up another title. People expect him to beat Horn.
Are you sure about that?
I think that's a close fight, man. Closer fight than people think.
Number 9, pound for pound.
Jeff Horn's a big dude.
Yeah. He's not very skillful, though, is he?
No, he's not, but he'll come forward. You know what I mean? It'll be interesting to see how he fights Crawford. I mean, he's only really got one way, and that's to come forward, really. Let his hands go.
Yep, and that's it. I mean, I saw that great fight against him and Gary Cochran. What a great fight that was.
I sense a bit of sarcastic there.
Well, listen, I'd love to see a trilogy of them. Those, trilogy. Cochrane, Horn, 2 and 3.
As long as Adam Smith commentates on it, then I'll watch it.
Oh, my Lord. I watched about 3 rounds of it and I switched it off.
I've not even watched that fight yet. I don't even know what I'm saying yet, because I probably won't even watch it.
I've just got a press release that's come through here, and it's by courtesy of our very... Oh, I like this. Oh, I could use this. This will come in handy in the future. Thank you very much, Mike, for that. It's a press release. Mike from Pound for Pound Boxing just sent it through to me. It's fresh. It says Gennady Golovkin, or Gennady GGG Golovkin is back. New undisputed king of Cinco de Mayo to make record tying 20th consecutive world middleweight title defense. Wait, is Golovkin undisputed?
What?
He's new undisputed king of Cinco de Mayo.
No, it's Cinco de Mayo, not the division.
No.
Off topic on this topic, have you seen that new Golovkin Air Jordan advert where they're taking shots of Canelo and Abel Sanchez is eating the meat at the start?
Yeah. I'm still waiting to hear back from Abel for that. I just want to know if the meat was contaminated or not.
That was masterful trolling.
Yeah. Abel Sanchez played it perfectly as well. He's a great actor.
He is. He's very good. Great salesman. There's a undefeated world middleweight champion and boxing superhero. Who writes these press releases? Undefeated world middleweight champion and boxing superhero.
Sounds like they've got Adam Smith on their press releases.
Kennedy, the GGG Golovkin is saving Cinco de Mayo for boxing fans. Golovkin 37-1 with 33 KOs from Kazakhstan's boxing longest reigning world champion returns to the ring against Vanis Martirosyan, the Nightmare, 36-3, 121 KOs from Glendale, California. The fight will headline an exciting World Championship card, which will take place under the stars at StubHub Center in Carson, California. It's the first time Golovkin has fought in Southern California in over 2 years. Golovkin has proved himself to be a sterling gate attraction in his previous 3 fights in the Southland, selling out the Fabulous Forum twice in 2016, 2015, and selling the all-time attendance record for boxing at StubHub since in 2014. Well, that sounds fantastic. Golovkin will be televised live on HBO, just basic HBO boxing. Not only will this mark Golovkin's first non-pay-per-view fight since 2016, if successful, it will be his 20th consecutive and record-tied middleweight title defense against a guy who's not a middleweight. But anyway, we move on.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Danny Jacobs' fight was pay-per-view, wasn't it?
Does he?
Yeah, if they're saying it was 2016, and Jacobs must have been pay-per-view. I can't remember exactly, but
I guess he was. Golovkin and Rosen boast a combined record of 73, 3-2, 54 KOs, a winning percentage of 94% with close to 3.25 of those victories coming by way of knockout. And I'll have to say those knockouts have come way of Golovkin, not Martirosyan. But anyway, Golovkin has originally been scheduled to defend his WBC, WBA, IBF, and IBO middleweight titles on May 5th on a rematch against Canelo Alvarez in the biggest and most anticipated event of 2018 boxing calendar. Well, that's a lie. Biggest event of 2018 would have been had it happened Joshua Wilder. But the fight was cancelled when Canelo withdrew after twice being tested positive from banned substance clenbuterol. Promoted by GGG Promotion, the association with Don King Productions, and sponsored by Ticante, Sivas, Regal, Jordan, and Hublot. Tickets for the Golovkin versus Martirosyan World Championship event go on sale today, Wednesday the 18th, 1 p.m. East, I think ET or Pacific time. Price is $750, $550, $300, $200, $100, or $50. Tickets may be purchased. Okay. Now let's see what.
When you think Don King's out of sport, he gets himself back into a big fight again.
Interesting, eh? Vanis Martirosyan is now the most important fight of my career. He has my respect, and I'm training hard to defend my titles against him. Said Golovkin. I am happy to be back on HBO and fight at the Stop Up Center because they have great boxing fans. I will give fans another big drama show. Okay. Kennedy has had such terrific training camp in Big Bear. It wouldn't be fair to let it go to waste just because Canelo was being punished, said Abel Sanchez, Golovkin trainer. Kennedy is going to light up Cinco de Mayo as only a true Mexican style fighter can. I can't wait to unleash him. Oh dear.
Listen, big drama show. Where's the drama? Whether the Martirosyan can get out of round 5?
Also, Martirosyan apparently is the most important part of his career. I mean, come on.
Oh, he says right now, so it's kind of. But you gotta understand, he's trying to sell it, right? He can't say, "Well, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna bust his face for 3 rounds, and that'll be it," you know.
We're adding extra bleachers to accommodate the demands from Gennadi's fans. Okay. We've prepared for Gennady to break his own stop-up center attendance record for the boxing event, which he set in 2014. I'd love to know what these figures are because Loeffler's not announced them yet, said Tom Loeffler, Golovkin's promoter. When you think about all the great champions, exciting world title fights stop-up has hosted, that's quite an accomplishment. Martirosyan brings a passionate Armenian fan base from nearby Glendale, an aggressive style of fighting. Best of all, he's ready and wants to fight. Golovkin Martirosyan will definitely be the Fiesta de Resistance of Cinco de Mayo. Really? Okay. I've been training my ass off. I'm sparring. I'm on weight, Martirosyan recently told the Los Angeles Times. When they asked me if I'd take the fight, I said yes. I didn't ask about the money at all, so you basically would have fought for free. It's a good show for LA Cinco de Mayo. Armenians will pack the place. I have a lot of Mexican fans. I do believe in my heart I'm going to beat Golovkin because he's never fought someone with my style. Well, I think we'll have to debate that.
I don't think he's ever fought somebody who's at 154 pounds and 2 years of activity, so yeah.
Right. Golovkin, the 36-year-old wrecking ball who has reigned over the middleweight division as world champion. I tell you, Golovkin fans would love this. Since 2010, was a dominant amateur standout and Olympic silver medalist before turning professional in 2006. Since then, Golovkin has been on a historic trajectory, knocking out one opponent after another to unify the WBC, WBA, IBF, and IBL world middleweight titles. During his run, Golovkin maintained an unblemished record that included a 23 knockout streak, which ended with a unanimous decision against then undefeated world champion Danny Jacobs in March 2017.
Undefeated Danny Jacobs?
He was beaten by he got knocked up by Pirog, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. In September, they may say he's an undefeated world champion, meaning that he never got beat as world champion.
Nice little twist there.
But nice politically kind of ran. I like it.
Well, there are ways even worse. In Ukrainian media, they never say undefeated. They're saying undefeatable.
Undefeatable. Yeah,
it really gives me cancer when I read it because it's not like we didn't have a different word to describe it. It's that bad.
That's right. I think from now on, I'm going to use the word undefeatable in my. Yeah, that's right. Undefeatable. Right. That's a new one.
God.
Oh dear. I can't read this with a straight face. I'm trying to really hard.
Eugene, what you just said, man.
Right. Wait, straight face. Let's keep. Right. Okay. So in September of the same year, Golovkin went the distance in a historic and controversial split draw against Alvarez, which most scored as a victory for Golovkin. The hotly anticipated rematch, which was scheduled for Cinco de Mayo, was cancelled when Canelo withdrew from the fight. Golovkin has sold out the most iconic arenas in the world, including T-Mobile Arena, Madison Square Garden, O2 Arena, the Fabulous Forum, and the StubHub Center. Did the O2 Arena get sold out by Golovkin?
All by Kell Brook.
Or Eddie Hearn by Matchroom. A lot of them turn up for Eddie Hearn.
But do you think it was a sellout fight?
No. You can find tickets on StubHub for that fight.
Oh, yeah. Martirosyan is a two-time world title challenger and a former amateur standout who represented the US in 2004 US Olympics, the same summer games where Golovkin won the silver medal. A native of Armenia who fights out of Glendale, California, Martirosyan's resume boasts NABF, NABO, WBO, Intercontinental, WBA International, and WBC silver championship victories against the likes of Ishe Smith and Kazim Umar, as well as a draw against Lara. Martirosyan's only professional blemishes have been by decision losses in world title fights against Demetrius Andrade, whom Martirosyan scored a knockdown, and in the rematch with Lara, as well as a controversial 10-round loss to WBC super welterweight champion Jamel Charlo. Standing at 6 feet tall, although it says on box record 5'11", Martirosyan will enter the ring as the taller and younger gladiator by 1 inch. I just said by 1 inch, by the way. He is currently WBC's world #1 rated super welterweight contender.
God knows how.
So there you go.
Being active in 2 years.
So that's the press release from regarding Golovkin's next
serious promotion there.
Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. It's it gets Golovkin fanboys really going. I tell you, the fanboys are like, yes, he fought the unbeatable Danny Jacobs, and he beat the unbeatable Danny Jacobs.
Beat the undefeated Dominic Wade.
Was dangerous opponent at the time. I don't know. Well, it is what it is. Another fight I'd like to talk about, and I did mention on this channel, and I did think was going to happen, was Joe Joyce against Lenroy Thomas. It's been announced it is on the undercard of Hay versus Bellew, the rematch. Cameron, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I like this fight. I'd much rather see this fight than the trilogy with Dave Allen. I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, they're moving Joe Joyce at the right pace. I feel like this is a sport fight. I mean, his last 2 fights have been pretty, you know, this kind of been stay busy fights. But I think Lenroy Thomas is a good fight for him because, you know, they want to get Joe Joyce moving on. The Commonwealth title now. I feel like Lenroy Thomas, I mean, we didn't really see much from the Dave Allen fight, the last one, because obviously it ended early. But I feel like Lenroy Thomas, I think stylistically, he might be quite nicely matched up for Joe Joyce, actually. I feel like Joe Joyce is, you know, he's definitely... Joe Joyce has got to get a move on because he's kind of in his... Is he 32 now, Joe Joyce?
31 or 32, something like that, yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a good fight for Joe Joyce at this point of his career. I expect Joe Joyce to win because I've not really seen much of Lenroy Thomas before that Dave Allen first fight. So, for me, I feel like Joe Joyce will win, but I don't think he'll stop him. I mean, if Joe Joyce goes in there and stops Lenroy Thomas, I think it'll be kind of a bit of a statement, really, because, you know, Lenroy Thomas is, I think he's only had 2 or 3 losses, so I'm not really sure if he's been stopped before. So I feel like Joe Joyce can go in there and do a real job on him, get a real sort of dominant win, and make a statement. I feel like it'll set him up nicely for a bigger fight.
Yeah, that's a good fight. if Hughie Fury goes on and beats Sam Sexton like everyone's expecting him to, do you think we'll see Dave Allen versus Hughie Fury?
Maybe, I think so. Maybe. I mean, Eddie Hearn's talked about, you know, maybe taking Dave Allen down another title route, so maybe it will be the British. Then again, I think I don't like that fight for Dave Allen. I really don't. I think Hughie Fury has no problem beating Dave Allen, to be honest. I think Dave Allen's probably better off not really getting rushed into title contention. I'd rather see him actually get a good sort of run going, because he's not really had that.
Yeah.
He's kind of got 1 or 2 wins, and he's been thrown in the deep end, and then he's picked up a win, got put in another big fight. I think Dave Allen's got some potential, to be honest. You know, maybe he's not as good as people thought. I mean, maybe I'd like to see him, you know, maybe at least do it the right way. Not get a couple of wins and then get put in with Hughie Fury, where I think he'll get beat again. I'd rather see him get a few more wins and get some momentum going. See what he's got, get some confidence. Because, you know, Dave Allen, he's kind of got this attitude of just getting in there. He don't want to take stupid fights. He wants to get in there and fight big guys and big names and things like that. But I'd rather Dave Allen kind of just get rolling again, because he's not really had that since before the White fight. He was undefeated and all that, but I think he just needs to get something going rather than getting put in a title fight with Hughie. But I think it'll be a good fight, but I just don't feel like Dave Allen would beat Hughie.
Your thoughts on Hughie fighting Sexton?
I don't think that's competitive. I think Hughie wins that fight pretty easy. I don't think that's competitive at all. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Hughie actually stops Sexton.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see that. The way he looked in sparring, looked really good in sparring. I expect him to come out aggressively against Sexton. Trap Media, I don't know what your I don't know where to send the link for you, my friend. I'd love to say bring you on, but I don't know where you are. If you're on Twitter, then I can send it to you. Otherwise, yeah. You guys keep talking while I try and find Trap Media.
Problem is, you switched to very British subject, and I'm like, the only time I saw the Leroy Thomas fight is with Dave Allen when they clashed heads, and that was it. So,
not really seen much of Leroy Thomas then.
Yeah.
Guys, no need to deny. How much has he got left?
I think Frampton wins on points, but then again, Frampton didn't look good in his last fight, and he got dropped before. Donair's got that left hook, but Donair's at a point now where he's nowhere near as good as he was. You know, nowhere near it. I mean, he's been past his best for about 4 or 5 years.
Exactly.
You know, Frank Warren, it's good matchmaking because, you know, you've got a big name in Donair. Casuals who do know Donair, will, you know, they'll see what he's done before and they'll think it's a big fight. You know, Frampton goes in there and wins, it'll be a fantastic win. Not really understanding that Donair's been past it for a while. Then again, I don't think Frampton's at his best anymore either. You know, I think in his last fight showed that. I mean, he's not big enough for featherweight anyway. So for me, I mean, he's fighting a guy in Donair who's, you know, he's kind of he's not a featherweight either. But I just feel like Donair, he's got the left hook. If he catches Frampton, who knows? But I don't know. I don't see this fight. I don't see any way that Donair wins this fight apart from catching Frampton with a left hook and putting him out. But I just don't see it.
Lee Selby and Josh Warrington.
Do you want to go, Eugene? Because I've kind of answered the last few.
What was that? Lee what?
Lee Selby and Josh Warrington.
Warrington
I
versus
didn't know that.
Selby.
Oh, okay. You don't know them two, no?
No.
All right. Well, I think Lee Selby wins that fight easy as well. I've never rated Josh Warrington, not at a world level anyway.
No.
I think he's European level, but he's not world level. I think people will be surprised how easy Selby wins that fight. Actually,
should do it quite easy. You think?
Yeah.
You think he'll stop Warrington?
Maybe, you know, maybe a corner stoppage or something like that because he's getting outclassed. I don't think he'll stop him, but maybe like the Gradovich fight. I think it might end like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And our Khan's fight, Le Greco, is the same night as Frampton's fighting. I don't know how you can cover both events on the same night and commentate on both events. So I might just go with the Frampton fight, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a better fight.
It's a better fight, but Amir Khan draws more names, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you might get more people in the chat in the Khan fight.
Yeah. Well, Frampton.
But I think Frampton. I think more boxing people want to hear the Frampton Donaire commentary
rather than the Khan commentary.
I mean, it'd be funny if Real Greco knocks Khan out. I mean, that might be. You know what I mean? Not saying I don't want to see that. I'm just saying, like, if that happens, then I think I wouldn't be surprised, man. I think any fight that Khan's in, he can get knocked out. I'm honestly being serious. I mean, you saw what happened with Algieri. Algieri can punch candy floss off a stick. You know what I'm saying? And he lit Khan up. I mean, he rocked Khan. It was a close fight. I mean, for me, you just don't know. I mean, if Phil Greco, he was landing shots on Spence, and Khan's more hittable than Spence is. So, and Khan's, he's there to be hit. So if Phil Greco can time a punch, and you've seen what Phil Greco's been doing. He's been trying to get in Khan's head.
But you got to remember that Spence is a big welterweight. Khan's not a big welterweight in that sense.
Oh no.
That's why Spence was able to walk through guys like Algieri, because he's a big welterweight compared to Khan, who came from lightweight.
I mean, yeah, Algieri's a former light welterweight as well.
There you go. So,
but Algieri, he's not hurt. I mean, he's only got like 7 knockouts or something, like 20 something fight. So, and he hurt Khan.
Well, there you go. How much has Khan got left?
Well, exactly. I mean, if Phil Greco. I mean, even if Khan doesn't look good against Phil Greco, I think that's it. I mean, Phil Greco's been a name that's been brought in for Khan to look good against. It's not supposed to be a close fight.
How do you think Carson Jones versus Amir Khan goes?
Oh, man, I think Carson Jones is a nightmare for Khan. I really do. Stylistically, he really is, man. Khan can't deal with someone with pressure, especially someone like Carson Jones who just keeps coming forward, even when he's behind in a fight. And the thing is with Khan, he can be 11 rounds ahead and he can still get knocked out. So, for me, I think Carson Jones would be a horrible matchup for him.
It'd be exciting fight for the fans, though.
Yeah, it would be exciting for the fans. I feel like a lot of people would enjoy the fight. But, in fact, I think that would have been a good fight for Khan coming back. But
that's
in terms of like
That's why Carson take that fight. Try and get a fight against Khan.
Then again, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom know how dangerous Carson Jones is, so maybe they wouldn't have set that fight.
What
especially with someone as vulnerable as Khan.
Khan versus Cheeseman.
I don't really know about that one, man. I think it's still a high risk global war for Khan, that fight.
You know what? I think Khan fighting Golovkin was probably a better option than him fighting Canelo.
Say that again, Grandma. I didn't hear that bit.
I said I think Khan fighting Golovkin would have been better than him fighting Canelo.
Why'd you say that?
I don't know. I think Golovkin struggles with movies and he's a lot of punches he misses with. I'm not saying he would have beaten Golovkin, but I think he would have looked better against Golovkin than he did against Canelo.
It probably would have ended the same result, though, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, of course. Wow.
Khan laid out on the canvas. I mean, you saw what Canelo done. He thought he killed Khan in the ring. That's how bad that knockout was.
I know people say to me, "Oh yeah, Khan was being outboxed." To me, I said to everybody that Canelo's just going to look at him, wait, and then Khan will drop his hands, and then boom.
People saying Khan outboxed Canelo, but Canelo was drawing Khan in. I mean, losing the round to Khan.
Exactly.
It meant nothing because he was drawing him in. He knew that it was going to catch him eventually.
People say, yeah, well, you know what? Khan was at boxing Canelo for how many rounds? Oh, for 4 rounds. I said, oh well, I guess it was only a 4-round fight then. No, it was a 12-round fight. So what's your point? And then they go, oh, well, that's it. You know, Khan can look great. I mean, even the Maidana fight. I mean, had it been in the, that was a fight that could have easily been stopped because Maidana had him in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Khan actually showed a chin in that fight, but since then he hasn't. I mean, Maidana was not the same fighter as he was in his last few fights. I mean, when he got with Robert Garcia, he started using his jab and started being, thinking a bit more. Whereas with Khan, he was completely one-dimensional. I mean, I think if you put the Maidana we last saw in with Khan, I think Maidana would have knocked Khan out.
Ouch. What about mate, the fight between Khan and Pacquiao? That fight.
I think Pacquiao would knock him out now if they made that fight.
Pacquiao versus Matisse?
That's a difficult one to call. I feel like if Pacquiao's still got something left, I think he wins the fight. But because I don't think Matisse's looked impressive in his last fight when he beat that Thai guy Karam. I don't think he looked that impressive in that fight.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like if Pacquiao's completely not got old overnight, like completely shot, I think he should have enough to win that fight on points.
That's a dangerous fight, you know.
Yeah, Matisse can punch, man. I mean, you know, we've seen Pacquiao get knocked out before, so Matisse is a big puncher. And Pacquiao's a smaller man as well, so...
Very, very dangerous fight.
I was another fight. Have you covered Kovalev versus Alvarez?
I heard about this fight, but I didn't know if it was actually going to happen.
Well, apparently...
Go ahead.
Yeah, apparently they were going to make it somewhere in the midsummer.
Okay.
So, because Alvarez was trying to stir up some shit with like basically demanding his #1 to be mandatory against Stevenson, because Stevenson is now fighting Jack. And well, basically WBC gave him a finger and said that you had what, 5 fights to claim your mandatory. Now you can, you know, sit on a bench. And he doesn't really look for WBC route anymore, the way I see it, because otherwise he would go and fight Gvozdyk, for example, who has interim title. The interim title already solidifies your chance, like your shot at champion.
Right.
Alvarez never wanted the Stevenson fight. Alvarez had 2 opportunities to fight Stevenson. He took step aside money. And now all of a sudden, he's sitting here, wants to get mandated for Stevenson. Alvarez had 2 opportunities to fight Stevenson.
Are you sure he had 2?
3? I thought it was 3.
Was it 2 or 3?
I thought it was 3 or 4.
I think he took like 4 step asides.
I mean, I know for 2. Yeah, I mean, you might be right. I mean, it was a lot, wasn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, he's had opportunities. So for him to turn around and say, I want it to be mandatory now, it's a joke.
Yeah, I'd like to, how do you think him and Kovalev would go?
It's a good fight.
Yeah, it is a good fight. And you see, Kovalev, there is a problem with him.
I think so.
He really lost, or at least not even lost, maybe got exposed with this whole, he cannot own whatever mistake he makes.
Do you think the bully got bullied, and that's what's happened to him?
Oh no, he didn't get bullied. His bullying just didn't stick. You know, Ward is not a punk who'd come on and, you know, play the same card, who's just basically exposed him for who Kovalev was, and ever since then, Kovalev sounds like a bitter teenager.
Yeah, it's a shame. Shame. I thought it was. I think I did like Kovalev, but his attitude, you know, it's not right. You know, it's not right. I think he should have admitted the better man beat him and admitted his faults and moved on.
I think Eugene had a good point. Something's missing from Kovalev now. I mean, he's been matchmade. The way he's been put together, you know, the fights he's had since that loss have been opponents that weren't going to trouble him. You know, there was guys that Kovalev could just walk through and look good against.
Yeah.
Now, Eleider Alvarez is actually a tough fight. Whether or not he'll be the guy to beat Kovalev, I don't know. But, you know, I think they're going to be careful with Kovalev, and there's a reason for that. So I think Alvarez will. I mean, he's he's undefeated, but I don't think he looked that. I mean, he last fought Jean Pascal. I don't think he looked amazing in that fight. So I think, you know, they're matchmaking Kovalev carefully because, you know, they know that there's something going on with him. Since those Ward losses, they're being careful.
Well, you know that Bivol's in the same stable, right?
Yeah, I really don't think when they want to match. I don't really think Kovalev's team don't want that fight. I really don't think so.
No, they don't want that. I told you what that Bivol said about Frank Buglioni, didn't I?
What was that?
Well, I asked him, do you know who Frank Buglioni is? He went, no. And then somebody said, neither do I. So, yeah. I asked him about Anthony Yarde. He said that's the guy with the big muscles, right? He knows.
That's the marketability of Anthony Yarde.
Yeah, the guy with the big muscles.
David O.
Dave. He thought,
cornrows and everything.
Yeah, he didn't think much. He didn't think much of Buglioni. He said he saw a couple of fights with Anthony Yarde. He just knows he was the guy with the big muscles. Interesting. He's a very interesting guy, Dimitri Bivol. Very interesting.
Very impressed with him when he beats Sullivan Barrera. Very impressed.
I'd like to see the winner of Stevenson and Jack. I think Jack beats Stevenson. Jack versus Bivol. That's going to be a great fight.
Do you know what? I hope Jack wins because Stevenson's been holding that belt hostage for a while now, and I think Jack will actually defend against legit guys. So
of course he will. Of course he will. Of course he will.
You can't have Stevenson fighting these guys like Sahotsky and Beaker. I mean, come on, man. He can punch and all that, but he's not for anybody.
No.
Listen, if WBC started with your shit, it means you're really fucked up at this point because WBC forgives everything. Like I guess an hour ago we were talking with Ingram about Canelo. Yes. And how Marisa Suleiman was saying that I don't believe Canelo is at fault. It's the first time he ever popped. Even though there is solid evidence that he failed 2 tests, and the first one clearly indicates it wasn't tainted meat. It was like a really high dosage.
They're hypocrites, man. They're hypocrites because Canelo fails a test, and like you said, it was high. The first one was high levels, and they think no, Canelo's innocent. Whereas you had Carlos Cudras who actually missed his test with VADA, and he's been suspended. I mean, how does that work out? You think Canelo's innocent for failing, but because Cudras misses one, you suspend him. So, the WBC, Canelo's having some perks, man. This is the problem with Canelo. He's only been given a 6-month suspension until August now. But they'll probably ban Kudras for a few years for that. This is, WBC are really bad when it comes to regulations and rules.
Yep. It's the whole marquee fighter.
Yeah, but if the situation was reversed and it was Triple G who got tested positive, he would be tarred and feathered. Like WBC would not be so kind on him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're 100%. Yeah, agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Guys, is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we end? Oh, one thing I want to ask both of you: the Tyson Fury comeback not being on pay-per-view. Cameron, what do you make of Tyson Fury's comeback so far?
Well, that he's actually got a fight announced because I was getting so frustrated with all this talk about him saying big announcement coming, huge announcement. I was just like, just get off Twitter, just make a fight, then come back and start promoting yourself when you got a fight going. So I'm glad he's back. I'm not sure, they were talking about that guy that nobody's really heard of, that 23-0 guy with 21 knockouts I was hearing floating about. Fury's comeback's not on pay-per-view. I mean, it should not be on pay-per-view. I mean, if you stick it on BT, it will do just regular BT. A lot of people tune in. A lot of people, this return is anticipated, highly anticipated. I hope that there's a lot of people that go to the fight. But I think Fury's only pay-per-view with the right opponent, personally. I don't think Fury's a pay-per-view fighter at all. Especially not against a guy in a comeback fight. Say if he fights someone legit, then you can put him on pay-per-view. But for me, I'm just glad Fury's back. It's simple as that. These last 2 years have felt like a lifetime. Especially with all the talk that's been going on. It looked like he wasn't going to come back. I was doubting it myself. So now he's back. It's good because the heavyweight division is lacking big time. So for Fury to come back, it's added some new fire to it.
But are you basing that Fury coming back on the Klitschko win, or are you basing that on the whole of his career, or are you basing it on the state that he is now in 2018?
Oh no, I don't think about the Klitschko win now because the differences, the things that have happened since that fight. People are saying, I've seen people on Twitter saying and social media saying, Fury, he's going to beat Joshua, he's going to beat Wilder. Based on what? I mean, we don't know what he is now. Klitschko win was 3 years ago when he fired Tyson's back. And 3 years out the ring's a long time, especially with his lifestyle. So for me, I want to see Fury have a handful, like maybe 4 or 5 fights before he even fights a world title. I don't want to see him rushed into one. I want to see him have 4 fights, just stay active and and just kind of build himself back up. Because if he's going to get in a big fight, we want to know where he's at in the sport. We don't want to just think, well, how good is he now? Where is he at? To see where he's at, get back into shape, fight and flow, and then sort of push yourself on.
Exactly. Your thoughts? I agree with 120%. Eugene?
I'm glad that he's finally back. The only concern that I have is that those years of inactivity and allegedly substance abuse might have chipped off a lot of him, and maybe he will be back on the same level, but not for the same longevity as he could have been. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Guys, I'm going to close it right here unless there's anything else you want to say.
No, I appreciate you having me on the show, though. Really appreciate it.
No worries, no worries. Eugene?
Yeah, it was nice to meet you, Cameron. Thank you, Ingram. It was a nice chat.
It was nice to meet you again, Eugene.
You too, man. And I like the glasses as well.
Paul liked them too. He's not getting them, though.
Do you know who's missing? We haven't heard from Bo for a long time.
I've got him on Facebook, and I've not even seen him on there for a while. since Luis Ortiz has lost, someone needs to check up on him. It's not been a very good sort of year for the Cubans, I'll tell you that.
No, actually, after Lara, it was like the last one.
Yeah, we'll have to do another one as the debates come up soon and get you back in the room with Bo again. What do you think, Eugene?
Well, there are no Cubans left, and now I'm gonna fight for against entire US? That's kind of tricky.
We could do it again. You and Bo again will be good. Round 2. I don't know.
I think Bo's completely shot now. I don't think we'll be seeing him for a while. I think he's, when Eugene, I'll use the example, sort of a comparison. When Eugene sort of last debated with him, he was kind of Roy Jones in his prime, but if he comes back now, it'll be like Jones post Lebedev and McInerney sort of. Right, took his beatings now.
I'm ending it here. Right, thank you both for being on the show. Many thanks to Cameron Gillan, and of course Eugene, our Eastern European correspondent. This is BWTN Sports. Don't forget to subscribe, and we're out. Have a great night. Take care.